goodness. That's crazy.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy.
Air Canada ended up colliding with none other than a fire truck. It looks like several people were injured and 2 people were killed. Those were the pilots. But the craziest thing is, it seems like maybe a controller gave the fire truck the go ahead to go. But we'll get over into it. We got a few videos to look at, and then of course we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information on this whole situation. But let's jump over into it and see what we can find out, y'all.
Breaking news out of New York's LaGuardia Airport. You see that and the huge response. 2 killed, dozens more injured after this Air Canada Express plane crashed into a fire rescue truck late last night. In fact, the video shows the plane took some pretty significant damage. Look there right towards the front. The nose of that jet destroyed. At this point, LaGuardia remains closed at this hour, at least until 2 p.m. Eastern. The stories coming from this tragedy are pretty harrowing. Here is what one witness saw and heard.
Pilot came on and said there's been an accident with an Air Canada and a fire truck. I looked to my right at my window. I saw some emergency vehicles approaching. I didn't see a plane yet, and I looked to my north a little further, and I could see a plane propped up. It looked like it was almost like lifting off, but it was stationary. We got a really good view of the plane missing the whole front nose.
Well, you know who has huge proximity to this accident? Tom Hansen. He is there at a very rainy LaGuardia Airport. Tom, the National Transportation Safety Board, they are on the scene. What are they investigating right now?
Yeah, well, they have actually recovered 2 black boxes from this plane. Those are going to be critical in piecing together exactly what happened here, the communication inside the cockpit, the speed at which the plane was traveling when it hit on a head-on collision with that emergency truck. Reed, I want to show you just what we're seeing behind us. You can still see that there are some personnel on the ground. There's an emergency responder truck right next to the site. And then do you see that truck that is toppled over? That is the one that was struck by this plane. Now, we are working to verify CCTV footage that we are seeing pop up on social media, which shows this plane going very fast and T-boning that truck, essentially going over the truck and then landing back on the runway. That appears to be what happened here. This was a violent crash. And so when you factor in the fact that basically all of the injuries that we are reporting out right now are broken bones and bruises, that is nothing short of a miracle based on what we are seeing with that footage. I want to give you one anecdote here. A flight attendant strapped to her seat fell through an opening in the severed aircraft. The flight attendant was found by rescuers still in the seat and was transported to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. But that should just give you a little bit of an example. She was strapped into her seat. The force was so great, it actually ejected her along with her seat through an opening in the aircraft. Very much a violent crash here. A lot of people very fortunate to be walking out of the hospital today, Reed. And I want to actually give you a sense of what happened at air traffic control as well. We have some audio we want to play for you for the frantic moments leading up to that fateful incident.
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop.
And so you can see just how urgent that that air traffic controller was trying to get the message across for that truck to stop. That truck was on its way to a United Airlines flight that had a separate report of an odor that it was going to assist in that. And then that's when this all happened.
Now remember, y'all, the fire truck has to get permission before it goes onto the runway. Someone gave them permission to be on the runway in the first place. But we'll get over into the AI breakdown. But let's keep going.
Reed. So just a tragic event that we saw watch in real time.
We understand Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy will be giving an update. And, you know, there's been this conversation, Tom, in our country about exhausted air traffic controllers. You know, they exist to make sure that things like this don't happen, that they indeed have control. Are you getting any sense of how many people were in the tower, maybe with eyes on this to avoid this?
That is a central focus of this investigation, Reed, and that is something we're going to be following very closely. It does appear to us that this singular air traffic controller who was communicating to the aircraft and to this emergency vehicle was juggling a lot. He was dealing with a lot. So we are going to be zeroing in on if he was the only person in the tower, how properly staffed the tower was. That is a central question that certainly needs to be answered. But to your point, Secretary Duffy has spoken extensively about the fact that air traffic controllers are very much strained because of staffing shortages, something that was made worse several months ago, as you may remember, when many of them walked off the job without pay. And these air traffic controllers, they take a long time to train. This is not something where you can just hire them and they start in a matter of a couple of weeks. This is something that's months of extensive training, a very critical role in all of the air travel around the country, Reed.
Some harrowing accounts learning about that flight attendant still strapped in her seat and that wreckage behind you, Tom Hansen. Thank you so much for that update.
Now, this is a crazy situation, but at the end of the day, we got to tell how it is. Someone is going to lose their job. Most likely the air traffic controller who was juggling everything. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, there's shortages, but you caused the deaths of the pilots. Well, let's go over into this next video and see what else we can find out.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Look at that. And that's the nose of the plane where the pilots would be in. An absolutely gnarly scene. I said gnarly. But let's get over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about this whole situation, get a little bit more details about the whole thing. So, as we know, on March 22nd, an Air Canada Express flight collided with a fire truck while at LaGuardia Airport, resulting in the deaths of both the pilots and includes a dozen other injuries. So it happened around 11:40 p.m. It says that the jet was traveling between 93 and 100 miles per hour. The truck was responding to a separate incident for an unknown odor at the United Airlines flight when it crossed the active runway. So here, listen to this part. Audio recordings reveal an air traffic controller cleared the truck to cross before frantically shouting, "Stop, stop, stop," as the plane was landing. One controller was heard saying, "I messed up," in the aftermath. Both pilots ended up dying, and then we had at least 41 people who were taken to the hospital. 9 individuals remain in the hospital with serious conditions. They talked about the flight attendant who reportedly ejected from the aircraft. The 2 officers in the fire truck are in stable condition but with broken bones. So LaGuardia Airport was closed, reopened a single runway at 2 p.m. today. Hundreds of flights were canceled, causing widespread disruption through the region. And then both the NTSB and the FAA are currently investigating this crash. Someone is getting fired. Got to call it how it is. The aircraft controller who initially gave them the go ahead will likely be fired. But do you think, can you blame this on too much stress, too much stuff on your plate? Maybe he was watching too many things at one time. We have to be understanding that there's a shortage of critical roles in the airports. We just talked about in the last section. Remember, these people are also not getting paid while the partial government shutdown is there, but they are required to be at work. Absolutely tragic situation. We do got to pray for the families. It's sad, but it could have been a lot worse. We got to remember that. Only 2 people died, the 2 pilots, but it could have ended in way more deaths. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Do you think the air traffic controller will be able to keep his job? That's the realest thing. He was already working there without getting paid, but something like this happens. It's over with. It's a crazy situation, y'all.